what was it? Eddie Cochran, Come On Everybody, you know, because I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit and show, right, you can play this something from the 50s and actually mix it into a modern beat and kind of, you know, just be really out there on that kind of angle, you know?
Yeah.
So I was always really aware, especially when I was prepping that set as well, you know, prepping my World Championship set. I wanted it to be well-rounded and not just loads of scratching, although, you know, because Cheese had won the year before, I was quite aware that there's going to be some scratching stuff in there. But it wasn't just a purely scratch set, you know?
Yeah.
And as I said, you know, because I've always tried to be that, I mean, quite often I class myself as a better mixing DJ than I am a kind of scratch DJ, because I come from that old school of mixing tunes together, you know?
Yeah,
and getting it really locked and tight, you know? So I was kind of trying to almost be a jack of all trades in a way, you know? And try and do a little bit of everything, because that's what I thought at the time, that's kind of what the competition wanted. But then it went very much into the hyper turntablism stuff, you know, which, don't get me wrong, I think is absolutely amazing, you know. I mean, it transfixes me like really good breakdancing does. I'm just stood there going, wow, how the French, how the French, yeah, you know?
Yeah,
really.
I mean, because like you say, later on it kind of developed, and then, you know, like you say, it wasn't all about hip hop. Like you say, you know, you incorporated Eddie Cochran, but then people then started, like Scratch Perverts and all that kind of thing, started bringing in drum and bass sounds and drum sounds, and same as Craze does, you know what I mean? And I think now if you see DJ Craze, he tends to play more drum and bass than he does hip hop, and he kind of mixes it up.
I mean, I remember also, I mean, I was very much into, you know, having a bit of a sense of humour as well about it, because I used to think that a lot of people were a bit too serious about it all. So I was always quite, I mean, that's part of the reason maybe why I started off with Eddie Cochran. It was like, let's just have a bit of a smiley, you know, and I'll mix this tune into there, and then we'll go into some, you know, other stuff, you know. So I was always a bit, you know, everybody being too serious about it, for me, was just not what it was all about. It was about, you know, you got to have a sense of humour. Everybody's got a sense of humour, you know?
Yeah.
We're human beings, you know? Can't take yourself too seriously. Although it is all quite serious, as we know. The turntablism thing is like, it's like a gladiator or arena, isn't it, really? You know? But I just wanted to lighten it up a bit, you know?
So bring it kind of forward now. What are your thoughts on the DMC scene kind of now? Because like you say, it's gone away from vinyl to people just using Serato or Tractor. So what are your thoughts on that kind of aspect?
I think there's some amazing technology around now. I mean, it's amazing the amount of stuff that you can choose from, you know? And the things you can do, I mean, yet again, it's really creative, you know? But I mean, the thing I like is that it's gone even more really towards a live performance rather than a DJ.
Technical sort of stuff.
Yeah, technical and a live performance. And for me, it's connecting that, you know, DJ as a musician thing again. For me, that's what it's all about, you know? I mean, I tell you what I love is, you know, when you see a band who's got a DJ and the DJ is really fitting in with the band really well. And that for me is like what it's all about. It's like, we're just another musician in the band. But, you know, see that we're not just playing other people's records, although we are quite often, but we're manipulating them in such a way that it's, like you said before, it's a musical performance, you know, using the stuff as an instrument. And I love that. And I love, you know, I mean, I've got some new Denon decks. And I've been playing around with those at home at the moment, two media players and a mixer. And what I've been really enjoying is, you know, with the new technology, you've got lots of options with effects on the mixer, and then you've got different, I mean, the Denons have got all these trigger pads at the front where you can trigger different things like rolls and slices and this, that and the other. And for me, I love playing stuff like a drummer. Because I'm a musician, I play piano, as I said before, I play piano, and I'm like, I kind of want to do that. Sometimes with the turntables on their own, I've felt a little bit constricted. It's like, I want to get a piano out or something and start banging out a riff, you know? So that for me is a great development. The fact that you can start punching in kind of rhythms and stuff with your fingers, you know, as well as mixing the tunes in and doing all the turntables and type stuff that you know, you know.
Okay.
It's, I mean, it kind of amazes me at the moment, the amount of technology that's out there. I mean, if I was young now, starting out, I wouldn't have a clue what to get. I mean, I'd be looking at Serato, I'd be looking at Tractor, I'd be looking at, you know, Denons, I'd be looking at Pioneer stuff, I'd be looking at the all-in-one Pioneer things, and just, I'd have to go in and try all these things out before I could make a decision, but you can't really do that, you know? No. You've got to just read some reviews, and then just make a choice and go with it, and hopefully you made the right choice, you know? I mean, it's amazing the amount of technology out there at the moment. You know, when you look back, when we started, it was just 2 turntables and a mixer. And the mixer didn't have effects, it didn't have kill switches quite often, it didn't have, quite often you didn't even have like bass, mid and treble controls.
No, that was it.
And you might have had like up and down faders and no crossfader, and the up and down faders were probably about a foot long, and it was like you had to handle all this stuff, you know. And so now it's just, you know, you're given the option to get a lot more creative, you know.
Okay. So from that, obviously most people would know you for your tune "Hear the Drummer Get Wicked."
Yeah.
How did you decide to make a record, or was you kind of asked to make it, or did you think it just kind of fell into place with your DMC kind of, and just, you know, I mean, obviously the battle, what's the one that you, the Versus one that...
Ultimate Traxx.
Traxx, obviously that was just recorded live and put onto wax. But obviously, like you say, you created Hear the Drummer Get Wicked. Was that something that you thought, I'll have a go at doing a record?
Well, for a long time I've been doing tracks in the studio, and in a lot of ways, personally, I view myself as, I'm a better studio kind of producer and studio DJ, if you like, rather than live DJ. You know, I know a lot of the studio stuff now, you know, and because of all the mixes I did for DMC and stuff like that, I've had a lot of practice at it. So if I'm doing a studio mix, you know, I just take hours and days and days and days. It's got to be absolutely right, you know, and that's really where I kind of, that's where I feel really at home, is in the studio, you know. And for a long time I've been doing mixes and remixes in the studio and kind of learning the craft, you know, and that's kind of where that came from. I was constantly kind of looking for, I was doing remixes for Profile and people like that, and Run DMC mixes and Rob Bass and whoever. And I was working towards trying to get my own track done. And then I was offered a remix of Mark the 45 King, 900 Number. And I said, yeah, absolutely, yeah, because it was like one of the biggest tunes at the time. You know, it's like, wow, I love that tune, yeah, I'll remix it, yeah. But what I did was, I'd already been compiling loads of samples over the years, and I had them in folders and on discs and this, that and the other. And one of the samples I had was that saxophone loop. And I'd had it for about 3 years, and I'd written next to it like, gonna make a tune out of this sax. And then Mark the 45 King, I got this option to remix it, and I was like, well actually I've had that sax loop for 3 years. I could go back to the original sax loop and just build something around it. And it could be a DJ Mark the 45 King Number remix. So I kind of did all this, gave it to the label, and the label were like, well actually, you know, it's like a new tune rather than a mix of his, so let's just release it as an original tune. And I was like, yeah, great. You know, so that's how it happened, really. And I remember the original white label, DJ, it's got stamped on it, I think, DJ Mark the 45 King 900 Number. That's going for quite a lot of money now, because it's quite rare, because it was the original version, if you like, of Hear the Drummer Get Wicked. But it wasn't called Hear the Drummer Get Wicked, it was 900 Number, you know.
I have to ask, did Chuck D get paid for that sample?
Huh?
Did Chuck D get paid for that sample?
Chuck D, when I did it, I actually phoned Chuck D, because I kind of knew him, because I'd done some stuff. Because I've been to New York and been in the studio, Chung King's studio, I think it was, with the guys when they were doing Takes a Nation of Millions, back. And I learned a lot from them guys just watching them in the studio. I mean, they're amazing. I mean, Hank Shockley and the Bomb Squad, just brilliant production. And I remember sampling that, and I was like, right, I've got to clear that with Chuck, you know. So I phoned Chuck and I was like, man, I've done this tune, I'm using the air drum, Get Wicked. He was like, man, that's fine, man. You know? So I was like, brilliant, job done. That's the title of the tune as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know?
That's a new house.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was really cool with it. I mean, that's the thing with a lot of artists who sample other people. You know, if you sample them, they're quite, you know, they're quite easy about it. It's like, well, we sample other people. You know, if you've sampled a bit of me, that's fine. You know, it's kind of give and take. You know.
Just going back to the ultimate Traxx thing, for youngsters like me, 14, 15, and buying those ultimate Traxx albums, that was so brand new for us, and it's what made you what you are to us. But there's a story that obviously you recorded yours, but DJ Cheese didn't record his set. I mean, can you enlighten us on this?
Well, I haven't got a clue what happened with Cheese's thing. You know?
Yeah.
I remember going into the studio, which was actually PWL Studios in London, which was Pete Waterman and you know, all them guys, their studio. And I remember going in and doing my bit, you know, and because, as I said, I was quite experienced at that time of doing studio mixes and doing productions in the studio, so I was quite good in the studio, you know, unlike a lot of other guys who hadn't had as much experience. So I could just, you know, I knew what I was doing, I knew what we were recording on, I knew how it was, you know, how it played out. So I went in there and did my mix, did a couple of edits, and it was kind of done, you know. And Cheese's one, I haven't got a clue what happened with that. I mean, I have heard the comments that he says that somebody else mixed it and stuff, you know. I mean, I don't know anything about that. I know what I did with mine. I went in there, did it, and that was it. As I said, I was experienced in the studio, so it didn't really faze me. It was like that's what I did best, really. It was stuff in the studio. Excuse me. Oh.
Warn him out.
Yeah, that's it, we warn you out. Well, I think that pretty much, I can't think of really anything more to say. I mean, how do you feel about the current state of kind of, I mean, like you said, because obviously you listen to all genres, you throw all kind of genres in, so it's not so much the hip hop scene, but how do you feel about the kind of scene as a whole now, of, you know, like you say, turntablism and that kind of stuff? I mean, obviously you took on about, you know, kids today using kind of loop pads and this kind of that kind of thing. So how do you feel about, like, well, you've pretty much said it already, haven't you? You know, you're quite inspired. But do you think it's kind of like a circle, like you said earlier on about where you tutor people and they gain knowledge and experience from you, but do you think that you'll get it back? Are you always kind of learning and taking inspiration from them as well?
Oh, absolutely, because, you know, when you're a new artist and when you're learning your craft, you know, you have a very special, I mean, I want to say this to any young producers out there, any young DJs or whatever. Quite often students will ask me, you know, well, I've not got anything to put on my CV, and I've not done that many gigs, and I've not done this, and I'm not a name, and I'm not this, and da da da. And the strength in that really is the fact that you are fresh and new and untouched, you know?
Yeah.
And that is a great power. You can go whatever direction you want from that, you know? You just have to decide and have to focus in on what am I doing, you know? And then do it well,
yeah.
You know? And the thing that I do find is that a lot of my students have a very big respect for what happened in the past, because what I've noticed they say to me is that, you know, they kind of know that music today hasn't quite got that spirit and that passion sometimes, because there's so much of a proliferation of should we say easiness in producing a reasonably good sounding tune with the software we've got at hand nowadays and stuff like that, and, you know, and DJ sets with sync and all this stuff that everybody, you know, constantly argues about, you know. Everything's so much easier to get a kind of good sound together that it's almost like you need a bit of hardship to try and get a good sound.
But do you feel kind of envious about that or not? Or
not really. I mean, I'm constantly saying to my students, listen, you have too much choice. We had no choice. We had to make our choices in the past. You have a million samples you could choose from. You have a million different plugin effects. You have a million different this. You have a million different DJ technology things you can use. There's so much choice. But in a way, that choice also gives you problems of not being able to focus in and lock down on certain things. You know, it's like you can always change stuff and always constantly be looking for the next sample. I mean, it's like, you know, some students have talked to me, and I've talked to them, and they've been like, you know, I've been trying to find the right kick drum for this tune. You know, I've been listening through kick drums all day, and I'm like, what? I'm listening through kick drums all day? I mean, after like 2 minutes of listening through kick drums, I'm kind of like, I've been listening to enough kick drums now. Forget that. You know, it's like you've just got too much choice. You've got to just narrow it down a bit. I mean, quite often I ask them, right, do a tune and just use 5 tracks on the computer, on the software. Just use 5 tracks. That's all I want. You give me a tune in 5 tracks. Well, so you've got to focus in on those 5 elements and make them all work together, you know? Rather than having a multitude of choices all the time and end up never finishing stuff and always changing. You know, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, like I say, really. Sometimes the most simplistic things are the best.
Simplicity is the key, quite often.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Some of the tracks, like you say, just like you say, if you think too much.
Absolutely.
Like you say, you just get to a mental block. Like you say, simplicity is always sometimes the best answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm always saying to them as well, I mean, one of the things for me is like, think about your hooks, you know? Think about the stuff that kind of really matters. I mean, you know, you can put a nice little beat under this and da-da-da-da, but actually have something for people to hook onto, you know?
Yeah.
Loads of them do tracks and they're all a bit meandery, and it's kind of like, well, listen, you know, if I wanted to go and buy this tune, how would I know what this tune is or what it's called or whatever? Have you got any hooks in there that I can hook onto?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it reminds me of the old record shop days. I mean, it's like you'd hear a track out in the clubs and it'd have some little vocal bit or something that you could go to the record shop on Saturday and go, oh man, I heard this tune the other day. Have you got the one that goes da 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 da?
Which is quite strange because, like you say, back in the rave days, you know what I mean? You used to go into like Zoom Records in London and then you go, have you got that tune that goes blonky blonk beep beep blonk? And they know what you were talking about.
What you were talking about.
You go like into a shop these days. You go, excuse me, mate, have you got that tune? And they think you're mad.
Yeah, have you got that tune that goes dum 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 dum? It's just well, that's a million tunes that we've got back here. Which one is it?
Yeah, which one is it? Well, I think that's pretty much it from me. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Chad. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And may you continue doing what you do and enjoy the masses.
Thanks, man. Nice one.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Keep the faith, people. Love you.
And ultimately, if you want longevity, can I say longevity?
Longevity
is to be unique. Because there is no other person like Chad Jackson out there. Is there?
Thank you.
There is no other person like it. So be yourself and you'll be like this man.
Well, thanks a lot. I mean, I've always thought I'm doing everything wrong, but now must have been alright.
We're still here.
Still
Thank
here.
you, Chad.
Thank you very much.